Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News here on TV1. I am Disal Kapage for the News First team. Before we take a look at the stories in detail, let's first take a look at the headlines.
Measures to solve the issues of pavement hawkers in the upcoming festive season. Special bus services in effect for the holiday season. World Bank representatives commend Sri Lanka's development policy operational program progress. Civil groups question decision to amend controversial anti-terror law instead of abolishing it. Lanka IOC suspends fuel delivery to 26 filling stations that violated QR process.
And now in your top story, Senior Advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of Staff of the President, Sagar Ratnayaka, stated that during the upcoming Sinhala and Tamil New Year celebrations, an environment will be created for the pavement hawkers to engage in their businesses in a way that would not obstruct the public.
Sagar Ratnayaka made this observation when he met representatives of the Kolomtota Eksat Velanda Sangame and the other pavement hawkers associations at the President's office on Thursday evening. He engaged in a cordial discussion with the pavement hawkers, listening to their issues and agreed to solve them in a way that would not cause inconvenience to the pedestrians. He added that he will discuss the issues of the pavement hawkers with the President and appoint a committee to solve their issues. Attention was also given to the issuance of a special identity card for the pavement hawkers, taking into account the demands of the pavement hawkers.
Sri Lankan transport authorities announced that a special bus service will be in place from Friday the 7th for the holiday season. The bus service will be in effect until the 18th of April.
SLTB Deputy General Manager Panduka Sparnahansa stated that the bus services will be in operation from the Colombo Central Bus Stand and other selected cities. News First inquired into the process adopted to deploy long-distance bus services. This was the situation at the Bastian Mawatha bus stand in Fort Colombo. The SLTB claimed that special long-distance buses operated from the Makumra multimodal centre as well.
Sri Lanka's development policy operational program progress has been commended by the World Bank representatives.
Sagar Ratnayaka, Senior Advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of Presidential Staff, chaired the final discussion in a series held with World Bank representatives on Sri Lanka's development policy operational program on Thursday morning. During the meeting, the attendees discussed the next steps to complete Sri Lanka's development policy operational pre-actions, such as the establishment of the Parliamentary Budget Office, restructuring of state-owned enterprises, welfare benefit payment systems, social registry, and their respective timelines.
Good Friday, the Friday before Easter, is the day on which Christians annually observe the commemoration of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. On Good Friday, Christians remember the day Jesus willingly suffered and died on the cross as the ultimate sacrifice for the sins of mankind.
Good Friday, the Friday before Easter, is the Christian day to commemorate the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and his death at Calvary. Christians have proclaimed the cross and resurrection of Jesus to be the decisive turning point for all creation. The Lord Jesus broke bread and gave it to his disciples along with wine and established the sacrament of Holy Communion. Jesus Christ's betrayal by Judas, one of his 12 disciples, and the subsequent trial and unjust judgment is also remembered today. Churches across the country held services to commemorate this significant day. A service took place at the Our Lady of Sorrows Church in New Chetty Street in Colombo. Another service also took place in Chilau.
Speaker Mahinda Apabewardena says that new members to 10 independent commissions will be appointed this month.
Speaker Mahinda Apabewardena said that the necessary measures for the appointments are being discussed. The Constitutional Council held several discussions over the matter recently.
Multiple factions continue to comment on the proposed anti-terrorism bill that has led to controversy in the Sri Lankan society.
We
cannot be deceived anymore. A serious economic crisis will arise in 2024 and this is being done to control the people and dissent. We have never seen a leader who suppressed the people's power using laws. This should be withdrawn permanently. Until then, the trade unions, civil groups, religious leaders and all citizens are prepared to engage in the struggle. If the government is trying to use this to suppress the people, it is wrong. And we will fight against it within and outside of Parliament. No one told to make this better. Those against is said that this is not suitable to be passed as a law in a civilized society. We do not want the PTA or any other law. We do not want rehab laws as well.
Human Rights Watch said the government of Sri Lanka's proposed Anti-Terrorism Act would empower the authorities to systematically violate fundamental human rights.
Human Rights Watch said on Friday that the Sri Lankan government should withdraw the anti-terrorism bill and ensure through consultations that any counter-terrorism legislation upholds international human rights standards. Meenakshi Ganguly, South Asia Director at Human Rights Watch, said the proposed counter-terrorism law would permit the Sri Lankan government to continue to use draconian measures to silence peaceful critiques and target minorities. Human Rights Watch said that until new counter-terrorism legislation that upholds human rights is drafted, the government should impose a full moratorium on the use of the PTA and take steps to repeal it. It said that Sri Lanka's international partners, including the United States, EU, Japan, India and others, should press for genuine reforms to ensure this bill meets Sri Lanka's international human rights obligations. Human Rights Watch said that the EU should make it clear that replacing the present counter-terrorism law with similarly abusive legislation does not address its concerns and could affect Sri Lanka's GSP Plus status.
Speaking to the BBC, the CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, Richard Nuttall, has commented on protests and travel advisories to Sri Lanka.
Chief Executive of Sri Lankan Airlines, Richard Nuttall, has said, quote, "In the West, protest is a sign of democracy and nobody issues travel advisories. But when you have a protest in somewhere like Sri Lanka, everybody slaps on travel advisories," unquote. In an interview with BBC, Chief Executive of Sri Lankan Airlines has said countries that advise their citizens to not travel to Sri Lanka smacked of double standards. He became the Chief Executive of Sri Lankan Airlines in April last year after joining the company in November 2021 as its Chief Commercial Officer.
International Monetary Fund Chief Kristalina Georgieva said China had been helpful in reaching a debt relief deal for Sri Lanka.
International Monetary Fund chief Kristalina Georgieva said that about 60% of low-income countries are already in or at risk of debt distress, and about 25% of emerging economies are at high risk and facing default-like borrowing spreads. Georgieva said she told China's new top economic official, Li Qiang, that China must accelerate its work to reach debt restructuring agreements for countries like Zambia, Ghana and Ethiopia. Georgieva, who met with Li and other top Chinese officials during a visit to China last month, said on Thursday that she found Li very approachable and pragmatic, and he assured her that he wants China to play a constructive role in resolving debt relief cases.
Sri Lanka's Justice Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa has instructed the country's Attorney General to expedite measures to recover compensation from the company that owns the Express Pearl wreck. The minister had given the instruction during a meeting held on Thursday, the 6th.
Justice Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa said that the process that should be followed when filing legal action over the incident and other related processes were discussed at length. At present, a criminal case is pending with the Sri Lankan court against the company that owns the Express Pearl. On Thursday, the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Sustainable Development had directed the National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency and Marine Environment Protection Authority to provide the necessary facilities required by the committee that was appointed to visit the site of the wreck and estimate the damages caused to Sri Lanka's marine environment. Founder of the Centre for Environmental Justice Organisation, environmental scientist Hemantha Vidanage in a tweet said, quote, Sri Lanka has not yet submitted the $6.4 billion environmental claim to the PNI Club, the insurer of Express Pearl ship, ablaze in the Sri Lankan waters, unquote. The tweet went on to note, quote, so far no legal case has been filed to recover this money and it should be filed before 19th May 2023.
Lanka IOC has suspended fuel supplies to 26 filling stations for the violation of QR quotas. Early this week, Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that decisions were taken to suspend 40 fuel stations that continuously failed to adhere to the QR quotas. Now moving on with the news, an individual identified as Vidya, one of the close associates of notorious criminal gang leader Ganemulla Sanjeeva, was arrested along with another person.
The police special task force said that the two men were arrested opposite the Kadawatha bus stand on Thursday based on a tip received by the Organised Crimes Prevention Unit. The STF received a tip-off claiming that the individual identified as Vidya was transporting heroin in a van. When the van was inspected, STF personnel recovered 24.5 grams of heroin and arrested the suspect. The STF said that the suspect was wanted for 3 homicides in Sri Lanka. A 23-year-old man who was serving as the driver of the van was arrested for the possession of 15.3 grams of heroin.
A 14-year-old boy tragically died after falling off a mango tree in his garden while attempting to attach a swing to the tree.
The deceased was identified as 14-year-old Isumhansaka Bandara, a grade 9 student from Royal College, Kurunegala. He was a resident of Giriulla Royal Gardens in Bopitiya. He met with an untimely death when he climbed onto a tree on Thursday to attach a swing. However, he had slipped and fallen and was strangled by the rope that he used to attach the swing.
The human-elephant conflict in Sri Lanka is a perennial issue that has gone unresolved for decades.
One person died and another was injured when a wild elephant attacked a hut in a cultivation in Lahugala, Ampara. The incident took place early on Friday morning and locals rushed the two men to hospital, where one of them was ruled dead upon admission. The injured man was moved from the Lahugala hospital to the Monaragala General Hospital for further treatment. The deceased was a 51-year-old Samurdhi Development Officer attached to the Lahugala Divisional Secretariat. A herd of wild elephants charged into the Madinnorwa village in the Ahatuava Divisional Secretariat in Kurunegala on Thursday night and damaged 2 houses. Locals said the wild elephants had consumed all the paddy that was stored inside one of the houses. News First correspondent said that a tusker was leading the herd. Locals said that wild elephants from the Rasvehera Wildlife Reservation that comes under the Megalava Wildlife Zone encroach on villagers at night. A wild elephant had damaged a house in the 10th mile post area in Karualagasweva on Thursday night and consumed all the paddy that was stored inside. News First correspondent said that the wild elephant was from the forest areas located close to the Thabboba Wever. A wild elephant was found dead in a canal leading to paddy lands in Navagama Ala in the Dimbulagala Divisional Secretariat in Polonnaruwa. Locals suspect that the 4-year-old wild elephant may have died after getting stuck in the 4 feet deep canal.
News first with the people.
Biz Fast.
Oil prices posted a third weekly gain as markets weighed further production cuts targeted by OPEC Plus and falling US oil inventories against fears about the global economic outlook.
Brent crude settled up 13 cents or 0.2% at $85.12 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate US crude closed 9 cents or 0.1% higher at $80.7. There will be no trading on the Good Friday holiday. The price of gold has rallied in recent months, breaking the $2,000 per ounce barrier this week for the first time since 2020. However, the price dropped to $2,008.30 on Friday compared to $20,018.54 on Thursday.
Now here's a look at more local news in brief.
A female administrative officer attached to the Anuradhapura Regional Health Services Director's office was attacked by a fellow employee. News First correspondent said that the seriously injured woman was admitted to the accident ward of the Anuradhapura hospital. The attack was captured on CCTV cameras. The Dahatasanya traditional exorcism ritual was performed at the Unawatuna beach. News First correspondent said that the Coast Conservation Department had organized the event to promote tourism in the country. Local and foreign travelers gathered in numbers to witness the spectacle. A truck transporting eggs from Panduasnuvaru to Anuradhapura veered off the road and crashed. No casualties were reported. Public health inspectors searched 8 bakeries located in Aluthwala and Gonapinuwala. The inspections were carried out ahead of the festive season to ensure food security.
Two people died and more than 1 million were without power on Thursday after an ice storm hit Canada's 2 most populated provinces ahead of a holiday weekend, bringing freezing rains and strong winds that toppled trees and weighed down power lines.
According to poweroutage.com, just under 1 million people did not have power in Quebec and about 110,000 in Ontario as of 4 p.m. Outages combined for both provinces had crossed at least 1.3 million earlier in the day. The 2 provinces account for more than half of Canada's total population of about 39 million. Electricity providers in both provinces were working to restore power, but repairs were expected to continue for days, meaning many Canadians could spend Easter weekend in the dark.
US President Joe Biden's administration has blamed its chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan on his predecessor Donald Trump in a new report.
A 12-page summary of the report says Biden was severely constrained by Trump's decisions, including a 2020 deal with the Taliban to end the war. But the report also acknowledges that the government should have begun the evacuation of civilians earlier. Trump responded that the White House was playing a disinformation game. The deadly pullout in August 2021 ended America's longest war. 13 US soldiers and nearly 200 Afghans were killed as US troops scrambled to evacuate more than 120,000 people in a matter of days.
Team Damulla beat Team Jaffna to be crowned the SLC National Super League cricket champions on Thursday the 6th.
The finals of the SLC National Super League 50-over tournament took place at the R. Premadas International Cricket Stadium. Batting first, Team Jaffna were bowled out for 160 runs. Navod Paranavithana scored 51 runs. Lakshan Sandakan, Dushan Hemantha and Sonal Dilusha picked up 2 wickets each for Team Dambulla. Chasing a target of 161 runs, Team Dambulla reached the target in 39 overs, losing only 5 wickets. Pawan Ratnayaka smashed 62 runs, while Sonal Dilusha was unbeaten on 45. Jeffrey Vandersay and Vinura Fernando picked up 2 wickets each for Team Jaffna. Sonal Dilusha, who performed exceptionally well with the bat and ball in the finals, was adjudged as the man of the match. Lahiru Samarakon was adjudged the best bowler of the tournament, bagging 15 wickets in 7 games. Pasindu Surya Bandara from Team Gaul was adjudged as the best batsman for posting 323 runs in 8 games.
Thank you, Mr. Nirmal.
Ashen Bandara was adjudged the player of the tournament for amassing 419 runs in 8 games. Team Dambulla, led by Minod Banuka, won the previous National Super League 4-day cricket tournament as well. Team Dambulla now owns both the 1-day and 4-day National Super League trophies.
And that's a wrap of lunchtime news here on TV1. As always, thank you for watching, stay safe and take care.